This is Jazmine with Listen to Your Single Friend. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the lonely. Hi guys, welcome back to the show. This episode was a few days late, but it doesn't matter. Why? Because you're now listening to an award-winning podcast. So yeah, guys, I'm so excited. I was nominated for the Best New Black Podcast with the Black Podcasting Awards. I actually went up for 2 categories. I actually also put in for Best Relationship Podcast, and I didn't even make the nominations. I was like, dang. Is it because I talk about like single shit and like dating shit and like not relationship shit? I don't know. All I know is I didn't even make the relationship category, but I made the second biggest category of the night, which is Best New Podcast. So therefore, I'm super excited. I was nominated, me and 2 other shows, and awesome shows, by the way. Shout out to the other nominees in my category. But I won. I am a winner. This is an award-winning podcast. Oh my gosh. You guys are so lucky because you were listening before we were lit. We got a bunch of new listeners. A bunch of people said they're listening to the show now. It's their first time. So happy for you. Shout out to the people who've been here though. I love y'all. Y'all been with me since day one. I'm a little bit of shock. I have not done my thank you spiel. I guess I should do that soon, but I'm really, really happy. So yay, award-winning podcast. I actually got some hate mail in the past week because I clipped the end of last week's segment. Y'all, that episode was so freaking long. So I just had to split it up into 2 parts. So welcome back for this week's episode. This is part 2, navigating common dating questions. Overall, it did seem like you guys enjoyed that episode. So super happy about that. Let's keep the conversation going on Instagram and Facebook. Listen to Your Single Friend. Twitter is Your Single FRND. Make sure to tune into our accounts on Fridays for Screenshot Friday. Also, remember, I'm uploading these to YouTube, so make sure to subscribe over there. Now it's time to throw it back for last week's trivia. About 26% of people say they've had mostly negative experiences with online dating, while blank percent claim to have a positive experience. Is the answer A, 9%, B, 22%, C, 37%, or D, 16%? The answer is B, 22%. So I'm going to read the full statistic. Around half of Americans, 50%, claim that dating sites have neither a positive nor negative effect on their dating lives. About 26% say they have mostly negative experiences, while 22% claim to have a positive experience. The rest at 2% don't know. So my thing is like, are we being dramatic? If 26% of people are having negative experiences, but 22% are having positive experiences, like maybe we're being a little bit dramatic, but I also think this goes back to something I talked about earlier. What do we measure as a positive experience and what do we measure as success? 56% of people say it's neither positive nor negative. I'm probably a part of that 50% because I'm just like, it depends on the day. But that is your answer. 22% claim to have a positive experience. It's time for the quote of the day. The quote of the day this week is, treat yourself the way you want to be treated by others. Love yourself and you will be loved. I think this is so important. Something that we have to emphasize when you're dating is the importance of not only knowing yourself, but loving yourself. Because I feel like some people are looking for a partner to fulfill them or to make up for those spaces where they feel like they're not good enough. That's not anyone else's responsibility. It is your responsibility for your own happiness. It is your responsibility for your own security. A partner is supposed to add to that. And the thing about treating yourself the way you want to be treated by others is also important. I take myself out to the places I want to go to. I take myself on solo dates all the time. So can no man come to me and say, oh, you girls always want to go to places that you won't even go to by yourself. Boo-boo. I am my best date, okay? I am a great time, and I take myself to some great places, okay? But treat yourself the way you want to be treated and love yourself, boo. All right, guys, it's time for goals and goofies. We're going to start off with some goals. The men been snapping lately, y'all, and in a good way. Like, I got another thread for y'all, and this is good. So I'm going to just read it. He said, I dead ass see why women really ain't trying to be in relationships nowadays. For starters, you niggas have major control issues, wanting chicks to basically become nuns. How you want her to change all this up, and that is why you wanted her in the first place. You niggas are mad insecure. She's pretty, bro. Of course other niggas gonna shoot. Of course they gonna look. As long as she's solid and not entertaining it, let them. Off the insecurity tip, bro, just because she out with her bitches don't mean she out bouncing on the next dick. The fuck is wrong with you all? Men are not being men, meaning we gotta let them have it. Honestly, a woman is an emotional creature. Sidebar, why y'all always say that? But whatever. She's going to operate out of her emotions most of the time. We as men gotta let her get that little shit out. Don't argue, don't yell, don't call her out her name. Be a man. Chill. You niggas are not responsible enough to lead households, but I'll let that sink right the fuck in. Y'all, I'm about to. Okay, preach, sir. He goes on to say, the gender roles, in quotation mark, y'all try to establish just to turn around and act like bitches is why they treat you like one. Lastly, reassurance gets you far as hell with a woman. Yet, we as men take them wanting the reassurance as nagging or not wanting to repeat ourselves. Nah, son, have a little patience with that diamond you creating. Okay? I think that women are already diamonds before they get created, but we're gonna let him rock with that. I know I said lastly, but let's be real, that ain't it. Communication saves the nation. He put this in all caps. Just because she's mad at the moment doesn't mean you stop trying to talk it out. My guy, don't argue with her while she's pissed. Give her time and then talk it out. Learn her. Like, learn what's a do and what's a don't. Learn what triggers her. Try to relate to her, even though you're not a woman. Actually try to understand where or why things are the way they are with her. Help yourself. Trust me. Niggas, women do not read minds. If you got a problem, speak on that shit to her and her only. Not your mama, not your sisters, cousins, bros, none of it. Keep the business in the home. Women hate that shit because it feels disloyal when you go talk bad on them. Y'all don't remain loyal when you're on bad terms. You niggas rather go cheat than fix what's at home. It's sick. She ain't your mama, fool. Get your ass up and do it your goddamn self. Then you really get an attitude because she might not feel like it after a long ass day of work. Maybe having to deal with y'all kids, possibly having to cook, clean, etc. That ain't your slave, it's your partner. Now, this one's a little personal, but you niggas are not pleasers, but you always want your dick sucked. When is the last time you actually made her come? Like, actually explored and fucked her mind before her pussy? Oh. Women love effort and romance, and honestly, you niggas really don't even try in either category. She's tired of feeling like her feelings are being ignored. Your actions show whether or not you hear her, and by you not doing or acting right is the biggest slap in the face after she's tried to express the issue. No one wants to talk to a wall. Respect is major to her, and you not respecting her turns her off completely. You niggas really took this as an attack instead of a warning. Man, y'all got serious daddy issues. Grow. Be better. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love when men are tired of other men's shit because it's not just us, okay? I don't know about this, how women are always emotional creatures. Men swear they logical as fuck. Men be emotional too. I need to bring a man on the show because y'all need to stop lying about this bullshit. Y'all be emotional too. Y'all swear y'all so goddamn logical. But he made major points here. We ain't even got to go through them all because I feel like it's kind of concise. But the biggest thing is listening and learning and accepting when a woman's trying to communicate with you, like, it's not her nagging. Like, she's trying to, what I call level set, basically. I really, really love this because he just got the men's together. And I love when men drag other men because that means I don't have to do it. And I can just say, see, a man said it. You'll listen when a man said it. When we say it, it's nagging. But we can say the same shit a man said. Okay, whatever. But that is goals this week because I'm so happy that a man gets it and gets it enough to the point where he can tell other men, y'all gotta get y'all shit together because this is exhausting. Okay? It is exhausting. But that is your goals this week. Now it's time for Goofies. So Goofies this week, this girl wrote on Twitter. I'm just going to read it to you guys. This MF said, the reason I was mean to you and wouldn't buy you flowers was because you wanted to be treated like the one. She said, I'm sorry, sir. Was I supposed to be the two? And then she said in the next tweet, I said, well, why did you ask me to date you? And he said, so I'm just not supposed to date? She said, he is actually crazier than everyone said. OMG. Y'all. I mean, is it crack? Like, it has to be pure white. I do not understand the emotional terrorism. I just don't understand. Like, when you date, there is someone else. There is a person, a being, a soul, a spirit, feelings, emotions. There is a whole other person on that other side. Can we just be good people? Can we not be assholes? Nigga, can you not date someone and treat them like crap? I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Like, some people are really, really cruel. And, I mean, I don't know enough. It's just a tweet. But, my whole thing is like, was the signs there that he was an asshole? Like, were there signs in the beginning that we could have known? But it's really like some jackasses out here. And I don't wish that on nobody. Because what? You want to be treated like you're the one. I was talking the other day, I co-hosted on a podcast, and we're talking about how men have this thing about like humbling women lately. Really, it's just like the incel type of guys. But like, this kind of is what this reminded me of. Like, I didn't want you to think you was the one. Okay, so why are you with her? Like, what? Like, where was the translation lost at? Like, I just don't understand. I just don't. This is going to be a short Goofies because, I mean, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated for the girls. Everybody keep messaging me. It's pee in the pool. I don't want to swim around it, y'all. We got to keep hope alive. I don't want y'all hearing these goofy segments and just thinking like, yep, nope, not going to do it. Like, this type of asshole shit is not. Can I say that it's not that common? It's not that common. It's not that in my experience, it's not that common. It is out there though. And there is a chance that most of us have ran into certain types of assholes. But I don't know. I just thought this was so goddamn annoying. Like, and then to say it to her, like, basically, I want you to think that this was that. Okay, cool. So move out my way. You know what I mean? But then to say it to her, like, man, that is just cruel. Like, but this also emphasizes the importance of asking those questions at the beginning. Like, he's talking about, I don't want you thinking you the one. Did he even want a relationship at all? Like, I would need a little bit more information because I'm just like, again, where did y'all wires not cross that? I'm just confused. I'm just confused. But this is some fuck shit. This is Goofies. It's time for our main segment. This is Navigating Common Dating Questions Part 2. We're picking up right where we left off. This one is the big guns. Do you want marriage? Again, don't tell them the 2-year plan, y'all. Don't go into the whole, I am dating for marriage and blah, 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 blah. Like, tell him you believe in marriage and you would be open to it when the right one comes along. Like, the intentional dating girls is going to be upset, but saying you are dating for marriage, it just doesn't always hit right. And I kind of explained that earlier in this episode. And I'll just say how I felt when it was said to me by a man that he was looking for a wife. It was just like, well, you know what I mean? Like, damn, I just wanted to go and get dinner. Like, it feels heavy. It feels very heavy. And with women, sometimes it smells like you're planning to be married regardless of who it is. And it just, it feels a little bit desperate when you get into this whole, I am dating for marriage and blah, 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 blah. And I expect to be married by this time frame. And I'm not going to be waiting this long with the person. If I start dating someone, I only plan on being a girlfriend for 12 months, that sort of thing. Like, don't break into the plan, y'all. It's not the time for that. All you need to know the first 2 to 3 weeks, do you believe in marriage? Yes or no? Is this something that you would want to do? Yes or no? That's all. That's all. That's all. That's all. That's all. We don't need to get into the nitty-gritty yet, okay? And I've seen men ask a question about sex and sexual partners specifically pretty early. That hasn't particularly been asked to me, but I have heard it being asked. It's completely inappropriate. We too old to be talking about body counts. That's usually how it comes across, is about body counts. We too old for that shit. If a man is asking about your body count or asking about your sexual partners, block him. I ain't even block heavy like that, but that's an automatic block. We are too old for that shit. Do not be asking me about my partners. Just be gone. I'm done. Another one, I saw this on the internet the other day. I actually saw a girl posted a screenshot. Or no. It was another podcast. They posted a screenshot of this. And it said, can we go Dutch on the first date? And the guy was basically like, can we both pay for ourselves since this is a first meeting, just so we can get a feel for each other, basically, and be on evil playing field. Like, this is just ridiculous. So kind of back what I was talking about earlier, when I was talking about goofies and women who date certain types of men and what men who are generous and providers, a certain type of thing. I know for myself, the answer is no to this question. Men who have no money and aren't generous say shit like this. Like, and that's the thing. I know men who have money and just aren't generous. You know what I mean? And so it's not always a broke boy question. But like I said, broke is a behavior. So behaviorally, yeah, actually it is a broke boy question. Per my definition, it is a broke boy question. Because broke is a behavior. And so it's just like, boy, ain't nobody trying to take your pennies. Relax. Like, I do not want your pennies. You can't pay for, most meals are like $30-$40 at a mid-level, normal starred restaurant. Most meals $40-$50 max. You might be paying $100. And that's if I get a drink, nicer restaurants definitely pushing $150-$200. But for the most part, like, it's just not that serious. Like, I personally don't have time for that BS. So, for me and women like me who want to date a man who is a provider and who is just a gentleman, then just express that you feel that the asker should pay, which most likely was him. And even, I don't know. For me, if you ask, you pay. But in general, that's just how I date. I believe that the man that I'm dating should be paid for dates. As we get into it more, obviously I will offer, but just my experience, the men that I've dated and it's got far enough for me to want to offer to pay, they don't even let me pay. But that's the thing. I like generous men and I like men who are just gentlemen, period. They don't want you pulling out your wallet. They don't want, you to have to touch a door or touch your chair and stuff like that. That's just what I prefer. So for women who prefer the same thing, just say, I feel like the asker should pay. And there's no need to get into the whole spill about it. Ideally, he will chill and just be like, okay, yeah, you're right, whatever. But that would go on my red flag list at that point if I'm the type of woman who wants, a gentleman and a provider. But yeah, I don't like that question. But I have seen men ask that. And hey, if you don't care about that kind of stuff, no big deal. Just be like, yeah, we can go Dutch. But I do know a lot of women who on the first date are just like, they don't care about that kind of stuff. I personally do. And so that's my answer to the question is, I feel like the person who's asking should pay, but I'm also an event planner and just general etiquette is really important to me. And so for me, if you ask, you pay. But regardless, I just feel like a man that would even say that question is probably not my type. I think that the internet is just doing something weird to people's brains because like men are really out here convinced that like I'm getting fully fucking dressed because I want to use you for a $50 meal. Like I can go in my sweatpants and get the same $50 meal and eat it at my house. Okay, honey? But yeah, that's my answer to, I won't get into a full spill on that, but that's my answer to the going Dutch or, can we, each pay for ourselves, that kind of question. This is a good one. Do you believe in dating multiples or dating one at a time? So I'll tell you a quick story. I had a guy get upset with me once when I answered this question. He was like, so obviously my answer is dating multiples. And he was like, you know, I feel like you should just date one at a time. How are you gonna get to know people if you're dating more than one people, like more than one person? And like he kind of got upset. And I was just kind of like, I mean, but that's what I do. You don't have to do that. If you want to just be dating me, yeah, but I don't want to just be dating you if you're gonna be dating, other guys, but I'm single. So like I don't believe in putting all your eggs in one basket. That's just me personally. If you believe in that, then you could say that. My answer is, like I do date multiples and I encourage every single woman to date multiples. But when a guy asks me that, I'll just say, I'm single and I'm continuing to date. That's it. That's all you need to know. And the close variation to that question is, are you seeing other people right now? And I know people who have asked that. I don't think I've gotten asked that explicitly. I may have gotten asked that once or twice. I feel like people be asking the questions that they don't really want to know the answers to. This might be a little bit problematic, but again, I'm just gonna say, I'm a single woman, so I'm continuing to date. That's gonna be your answer. I'm not spelling out to you that last night when you FaceTimed me, I didn't answer because I was on a date. Now, I do know some women who are very, very open about that. And for the most part, like if you ask me, I probably will tell the truth to be honest and just say yes. Because like I really don't have shit to hide. But I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about that one because I just feel like I really feel like people don't really want to know the answer because, like, men get real weird about this when you say you dating others. Like I said, the guy that I was just talking about, they get real weird about that. Kind of like, oh, I'm good on you if you entertaining other dudes. Like, they feel like they're losing something because, well, I'm spending money on you when you out with other dudes. Do you like me? Like, do you want to see me? Like, do you want to go on dates? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm real iffy with that. Are you seeing other people right now? Because I don't know. I don't feel like you should necessarily have to lie, but I don't think you need to tell all your business either. So I'm single and I'm continuing to date is the answer. Yeah. And so I said yes, but I didn't say the words yes. So you can say a lot of this stuff is just saying what you mean, but saying it in a way that will be in a way that your message can be consumed, basically. Because just saying yes is just kind of like, oh, okay, well, damn, but saying, well, I'm single and I'm dating other people, that may open the door for a conversation and just be like, well, I, understand that, but I hope for you not to be single in the next month or so. So, I'll keep that in mind. So, answering that question, saying, I'm single and I'm continuing to date, that just lets them know it is what it is. If you want me not to date, you got to make me not single. Okay? Then there's what are your deal breakers? So I think this can go two ways. I talked about like people trying to be chameleons and trying to match what you say you do or don't want so that they could kind of get in good with you. But some people just want to know if you're actually compatible, so I just stick to the true things for myself. I don't do smokers, specifically cigarette smoking, and I don't date men with kids. So those are my two deal breakers, like hard stop. um I don't get into emotional or behavioral shit. And the reason is, like I said, some people just, want to be chameleons, and I'm just not trying to get got. I don't want to sit up here and spell out to you, oh, I don't like men who don't text me every day of the week, because now he knows not to do that. Even if he is not a good match for me, in the first couple of weeks, it's easy for people to appear that way because they're putting on what we like to call the representative. So just be careful in that. I would just stick to a little bit more like fact-based things and less like emotional things and less like behavioral stuff, because I don't want you trying to match what I said. That's kind of similar to the answer I gave earlier about what you're looking for, but I don't want you trying to match what I tell you. So I just stick to the facts. I don't like smokers and men with kids. Those are deal breakers. That's it. There is, what do you do? So, ladies, I need you to keep it cute and keep it feminine. I was just talking to someone about this last week about how Black women specifically, we're basically trained to feel like we have to lead with our accolades. And for a lot of us looking for men who are providers and men that want to support us in certain kind of ways, having 4 degrees is amazing, but that doesn't matter to a man that's trying to take care of you. Like, if a man is trying to take care of you, he wants you sitting your ass at the house, taking care of his household, and that's it. That's what he cares about. It just is what it is. So if that's the type of man that you want, a man that's taking care of you, stop leading with your accolades. I do not tell men that I have 2 businesses. I just tell them what industry I'm in. That's it. I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm in event planning. I don't even bring up the podcast. But I just say, yeah, I'm into event planning. I don't tell them I own my own event planning firm, because for me, this question for the ladies, just keep it very feminine. And just be like, oh yeah, I do event decorating. I don't play it that low. Don't play low and don't play small. And honestly, the type of man I want is not going to be intimidated by that shit. But this is a thing that is like very big, specifically with Black women, is we do have a tendency to say, well, I got my own job and I own a business and I'm this and I got degrees. So what you gonna do for me? Like, we come off like that sometimes. So, the answer to that question, just keep it cute. I just say what industry I'm in, or I say, I'm into event planning. I'm super, super passionate about, event design. Like, use the word passion in your explanation. Tell us what you're passionate about. Like, I think that's a turn on, hearing someone talk about what they're doing and also why they love to do it. In DC, this is super fucking annoying now, because people are always sizing you up based on like if they think that you're on their level, or like what they think you could do for them, basically. So this is such a hot button in the DMV specifically, because everybody want to know what you do, and it's just like, get to know me as a person. So for the fellas, I know that this can be a bother, because it's like, it feels like you're being used, or it feels like, people are sizing you up, and as a lady, I am sizing you up, but I know it's more than just your job. I know how to size you up without asking you any question about finances. But this is a super, super annoying question, either side of the spectrum that you're on. So ladies, just be mindful with how you respond to that. Okay. Something that I have been asked this a time or 3: long-term and short-term goals. Like, now I haven't been asked this in a long time though. But I would just give a high-level answer with this. Like, it's giving job interview, like, and it's too early for you to know that I plan on global domination. But like, I'm not going into my long-term plan with you, like, oh, I plan on, sitting for the bar in 2 years, and then I plan on leaving corporate for good when I'm 40. Like, I just feel like that's not, I just don't be all up in my business. I just feel like it's too early. It's just too early. Like in general, yes, you can know, oh, I plan on going back to school, or, I plan on, being a full-time entrepreneur. But I don't like this question. I just get something very, very high level because it's given interview. Another one that is pretty common for men to ask, where do you want to meet? And a variation of that is, what do you want to do? So this is usually when we've agreed that we're going to go on a date, but like we haven't spelled out exactly what our plans are. And I have seen firsthand women get upset when men ask this. Like, I don't know. It is I've seen this firsthand. So if they know like what you like to do because you answered that question earlier, or they know what food types you like, they should have already been taking notes. So when my friend got upset about this, like I kind of understood her frustration, because she's like, I've already spelled out to him that, I like X, Y, and Z. So I just don't understand why he felt the need to ask me, what do I want to do? But y'all, we gotta be nice. We gotta play nice around here. If a man asks this, you don't have to offer a specific place. Just say what type of thing you want to do. Yes, it is annoying because I just spelled out to you that I like wine and I love wine. Take me to a fucking winery. You know what I mean? But just say the type of thing you want to do. Just, if your thing is, you want to do an activity, just say, oh, I haven't gotten out the house in a while. I would love to do something outside, but add something to the end and say something like, but I trust your judgment. That's sexy, guys. That's very, very sexy. Like, oh, I would love to do something outdoors, but you can decide what we do. I trust your judgment. Ooh, I like that answer, because it's like you're letting him do the thing. You're letting him take charge and be the man and decide our fate. I'm so dramatic. But basically that's what's happening here. It can be frustrating. And when my friend got upset about this, her whole thing was like, it gives passive when a guy asks, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, dude, try, figure it out. Like, figure it out. Because if I do have to give you an exact place, like, oh gosh, did I tell the Red Lobster story yet? I can't remember if I told the Red Lobster story on here. I told a guy that I like seafood and Indian food, and those are my two food choices. Oh, I hope y'all can't hear my stomach grumbling. I told him that I like seafood and I like Indian food, and he was like, basically pushing about like where specifically we went. And he was like, at first he's like, oh, okay, cool. So Red Lobster. And I was like, no. And he was like, well, I've never had Indian food, so I would need to be introduced to that. And I'm just not very aware of seafood places around here. So what's the problem with Red Lobster? Ugh, I was so turned off. I ended up going on the date anyway. I'll get to that. But I was just so turned off by this, because I'm like, ew, guy. Like, first of all, let's break this down. You have not been introduced to Indian food. How about you let me introduce you? Now, if he said that, hey, I'm not familiar with Indian foods. I had a guy one time who had never had Indian food. So he looked up restaurants and was like, hey, I'm not familiar with this type of food, but here are the two restaurants I pulled. Is either of these something that you would like to do? He did exactly what he was supposed to do. And I was super happy that he tried to do some research, but still wanted to get my opinion. One of them was a hole in the wall Indian food spot, and my hole in the wall Indian spots be bussin'. The other one was a nicer luxury one. I wanted to get dressed for a date. I wouldn't have minded going to the Indian food spot. That was the more mom and pop place. But it was a first date. So I was just like, oh, let's go, to this one. I haven't been to that one yet. I would love to go there. But the Red Lobster guy was just basically like, all I know is Red Lobster, so what's the problem? And I was just it was a whole debate in my group chats about this Red Lobster situation. I personally grew up on Red Lobster. Red Lobster is like McDonald's for me. Like it's something I used to have all the time when I was younger. Like I used to go out with my grandparents every weekend. They would take us out to like lunch or breakfast or whatever the case may be. So at least once every other month we was going to Red Lobster because that was my favorite place. So when it was my choice to pick, I was at Red Lobster. And so I explained it to him. I was like, I went there all the time. Like I always go to Red Lobster. And I don't think Red Lobster is bad, but it's just like, we're in the DMV. Are you fucking serious? Like, seafood is every corner that you turn. You didn't even try. Like, you didn't even try. You just knew the one basic ass chain and was like, let's go here. And if this is someone I've dated, a couple times, then absolutely we can go to Red Lobster. I know exactly what I'm getting. The ultimate feast, period, poo. I should head up tonight for dinner. But I know exactly what I'm getting. Like, I love Red Lobster, but on the first day, hell nah. And also the fact that you wanted me to spell it out for you, like he didn't even try, y'all. He didn't even try. So, but like I said, every man is not like that guy. They really, I've had guys just straight up say, I just really want this to be a good time for you. I don't want to mess this up basically by picking the wrong place. Like I had a guy straight up say that to me a few weeks ago. And so I'm just like, oh, he's trying. So, definitely throw a guy a bone and just say, oh, even if you want to recommend a couple of places and just see which one he picks, like you could do something like that. But I have seen the ladies get very frustrated when a man asks this question. So, like I said, don't go into meltdown mode. Don't get an attitude about it. Just say, oh, this is the type of thing I want to do, or this is the type of food I want to have. This is the type of cuisine I want, or I want to do something, I don't feel like going into DC today. I want to do something in Northern Virginia. Like, just get kind of in the direction, steer him, but you don't have to spell it out for him. And if you want to spell it out, hey, if you want to go to Red Lobster, tell him that. I want to go to Red Lobster, period, poo. Or I want to go to McCormick, period, poo. Another question is, when are you usually free? I'm getting irritated by this question because, like, I'm free when I'm free. Like, it's not always weekends and it's not always Wednesdays. So when I'm asked this question, because obviously the guy's trying to take you out on a date, and that's why he's asking that. So again, be nice, ladies. I answer with my availability for the next 7 days. So if it's Monday and he's asking, I'll say I'm free on Friday and Sunday. Like, I give a real time answer. Because when am I usually free doesn't answer the question that he's getting at. I know that I'm usually free on Wednesdays, but that don't mean I'm free this Wednesday. So if it's Monday and I say, oh, I'm usually free Wednesdays, then he's like, oh, okay, so do you want to go so-and-so on Wednesday? I'm like, oh no, I'm not free this Wednesday. So you know what I mean? Like, like it's annoying because it's like when I'm usually free is not when I'm actually free. So, just get some grace, ladies. When he says, when are you usually free? Give him your actual availability for the next couple of days. He's asking because he wants to take you out on a date. So don't play around on this one. Don't be an asshole, y'all. Really quick to bring it full picture, right now we are in the middle of a pandemic. So sometimes COVID questions and vax questions will come up. I mean, I just kind of say it out the gate. I am vaxxed. It is what it is. I'm not even here to argue stances at all, but I will just say, be careful with your response. I was talking to a new guy a couple weeks ago, and something came up about COVID and vaccinations. And he said something, and I joked with him. I was like, oh, don't tell me you're one of those. And he was like, oh, what does that mean? I was like, one of those that thinks the government is trying to turn us into robots. And he went on this whole spill about how he thought COVID was a big giant fluke and it wasn't even real and blah, 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 blah. I canceled my date the next day because I was super, super triggered by this. I have lost family to COVID, and I've had several have stints in the hospital. So vax or anti-vax, it's not cool to say stuff like that COVID is a joke and it's not even real and all that stuff. So just be careful when asked COVID questions because you may unintentionally offend the person that you're dealing with, and you don't want to do that. If you're okay with them not being vaxxed and you are, or vice versa, that's fine. But just be very careful what you say. And hey, I know some people who are turned them. They're just like, if you ain't vaxxed, you dumb as hell. Or if you are vaxxed, you dumb as hell. Like, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But this is an easy way to turn off the person that you're dating, because there's just no reason to be a jerk wherever you stand on that issue. So just wanted to put that out there. We'll wrap up with a few more questions. One that I have gotten multiple times: do you live alone? Ugh, I hate this. Like, they just want to know if they can clap your cheeks out loud or in the quiet because you got people that you live with. And also, it's just a creepy ass question. Like, men don't understand how uncomfortable it is being asked this question sometimes. Like, even if I like you, asking do I live alone just like gives me like the ick, because it's like, why? Like, I don't want you trying to kill me or trying to hurt me. You know what I mean? So I get why men are asking, but some of them ask this question way too early. I feel like this is something that should organically come out in conversation. Like when I was living with roommates, I would just casually say, like, oh yeah, because my roommate says, whatever. And so, like, the guy's like, oh, I didn't even know you had a roommate. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that will come up casually in conversation. And then my thing is, oh, yeah, I do. Do you have roommates, or do you live with family? What's your situation? But asking that when y'all ain't even been out on a date yet, or you've only been out once, it gives me the ick personally. So, like I said, I'm a little sassy, so I just straight up respond like, "Why, you bringing me dinner? Like, why are you asking?" And then they'll be like, "Oh no, I was just wondering." Oh, okay. Like, no, you can't know what my living situation is. And I used to answer like this when I had roommates. Now I'm definitely like that because I live alone. But even when I had roommates, I'm like, why? Like, that question definitely triggers me because stranger danger. You know what I mean? Like, safety is just very important for me in dating, and so it gives stranger danger. But the men are really just asking that because they trying to know what your situation is, because they trying to get it in. So yeah, that's how I personally answer that question. If you want to just be honest, be like, yeah, I live with my family, or oh no, living solo, it is what it is. But I personally have hesitations about that question for the reasons I've stated, and that's just how I answer. Another one is, tell me about yourself. And I just think that this shit is lazy. Like, this is not a job interview. So I always respond like, well, I'm an open book. What specifically do you want to know? Do you want to, you know what I mean? And so that's going to require you to actually, like, you just want me to get to talking about myself and just, willingly give up information. Like, I will give you information if you ask for it. And so it's like, what specifically do you want to know? What's my favorite foods? What's my favorite book? What's my family dynamic? Like, I'll give you answers, but I was just like, no, I don't like that. I've had men do that. This is not a job interview. It's very annoying to be asked that. So, my response to that is always, what exactly do you want to know? And if he keeps pushing back, then clearly this ain't going nowhere. This is a good time to talk about what you doing. That what you doing text is a bother for me. It is such a bother for me. Like, I see that text and I turn red. I'm just like, really? Like, we ain't been out on a date, or we have been out on a date. Like, what? And men are just so annoying with this. Good grief. Like, if you're going to ask me what I'm doing, what's the intention behind this? I think I talked about this on the episode with JT, like very early in last season. Like, what is the intention behind this? Because to me, it always feels lazy as hell. And again, what time is it when this question is being asked? Are you asking me this at 11:30 at night? No. You know what I mean? Like, what time? Are you asking me this in the middle of the day? Just checking in. But another thing that I don't like this question though, don't ask me what I'm doing between 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday. Working is the answer. Do not ask me what I'm doing Monday through Friday. 8 to 5. I am working. That is what I'm doing. Like, it's so annoying to be asked that, because like I don't know what you want me to say. You're asking me this during work hours. I am working. I hate this question so much. It's just so lazy. But If you get access after work hours, it really just depends on the dynamic in the situation. Like, again, the context here with all these questions is usually this is the first couple of weeks before a date has happened or after one or two dates. If it's a guy that has not asked you out again or has been dragging his feet since the last date, and you like this guy and you want to see him again, keep it cute. Keep it cute and say, if he says, "What you doing?" You know what I mean? And because normally it's followed by, "Oh, you doing this without me?" My response to the whole "without me" would be like, "Oh, you missed me? Well, I loved our date. Can't wait to see you again." Like, if he asks without me, that's what I would say. Um, Another response to what you're doing, if you just say, "Oh, I'm doing X, Y, and Z," a lot of times guys follow up with, "Oh, dang, I wanted to see you." Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. I'm not about to play this game with you. I'm not about to do it. I'm just not. Like, it's so annoying because it lacks intention and direction. Like, if you wanted to see me, make plans. It is so annoying. So, for the actual what you're doing response, you know what I mean? I always give I give things. I give men a bone. Like, I always give them something. So if it's 6:30 on a work night or whatever, then I'll always say, "Oh yeah, I'm chilling. I'm getting ready to cook, or getting ready to eat dinner. I've been so hungry." Or what's another one? "Oh my God, I'm watching this great show right now." Like, I'm going to give you something to work with. If it's the guy that I like, I'm going to give you something to work with, because ideally, if you're just asking because you're checking in on me and want a conversation to continue after this, then I'm here for it. And we could go ahead and talk about some real stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give you something to work with. So if I say, "Oh yeah, I'm watching this crazy show right now. What you doing?" His first thing is gonna be like, "Oh, what show are you watching?" You know what I mean? And we're gonna get into a conversation about that. Give him a bone, okay? Um, but I always, even though I don't like this message, when I get that, I'm always gonna give you a bone. Now, the response after that is where I get to see where your head's at and what you're really talking about. Because if your response is, "Oh, I'm just doing X, Y, and Z," my response is going to be like, "Okay, cool." Because clearly you don't want shit and you don't want to talk about shit and you bored and you just looking for somebody to talk to. Like, I don't have time for that lazy shit, like, at all. So when guys say what you're doing, I give you a little bit. I give you something to work with, but actually have some intention. Even if the intention is just to chit chat with me, be chit chattable. Shit. Like, don't just be like, "Oh, that's dope," or "Cool." You know what I mean? Like, dudes cannot have conversations via text. Child, so ghetto. Um, but yeah, normally that's how I respond to the "what you doing" question. So like I said, there's levels to it, because there are traditionally several types of follow-ups with the "oh, without me" and stuff like that. So that's how you navigate that irritating ass question. Some guys will just come right out and say, "How was your day?" And like I said, I give them a bone. "Oh, my day was great. I worked so hard on this deadline." And I say that because your next question will be, "Oh, what was your deadline?" Like, I've done this before just because I want to see if you're conversational. So that's what I mean when I say give them a bone. Be conversational. Don't just say, "I'm cooking," or "I'm going to the gym." You know what I mean? Like, give us something conversational to work with. And if you've done this multiple times and the conversation always ends up stale, then you give a stale response. But for the most part, give the guy something to work with. The last one, this is a special question because I've been asked this a lot lately. On dating apps and on the phone, what do you think about Kevin Samuels? They'll ask me that, or they'll ask me about like something else, a problematic situation or a problematic person. I've had multiple men ask me this, and the conversation almost always ended after I gave my response. And my response is usually the same. Like, I think he's a gimmick. I think he uses abusive language towards women that can lead to violence. And the type of man that I date don't find him funny. Now, what I just did there is I basically said, if you listen to him, you're a clown. That's basically what I said, and some men will ask you this just to get you riled up, but like, I make it very clear, I don't think he's funny. I'm not entertained by this, and I just shut it down. If you watch him and you think he's funny, you are not my type of person at all. Like, the way that he behaves is just not the way that people that I deal with should think is cute or funny. So, like I said, I've been asked this many times in the last couple months on apps. I literally got into an argument with a guy on this app because I think he had it like had something in his profile about it, and like I kind of like was just like, oh, like you listen to him or whatever, and like I was just like, oh, like I don't know, the stuff that he says is like kind of not cool, you know. Well, people that don't like him just don't like him because they feel attacked, and that's because what he's saying is real. And I was like, whoa, wow. It turned into a whole thing. You know what I mean? So honestly, I just don't deal with problematic shit. So even if they don't specifically ask about that guy, if they ask me about anything problematic, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, like anything problematic in the first couple of weeks, I'm just like, I don't I don't think that that's okay. You know what I mean? And that's not something that, you know, I think is funny or I'm not entertained by, like at all. And hey, if you want to dig into a conversation with a man about problematic shit, do that, but be listening to his response. Like I did have an early conversation with a guy about we just happened to get on this subject about R. Kelly. Like it was happenstance. It wasn't, you know, like, oh, what do you think about him being arrested? We just by happenstance happened to get on a conversation about R. Kelly. And the guy was just like, no, like he was just like, oh, I'm just so disgusted with him. Like I have nieces and blah 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 blah, and just like went on this whole rant. And I was like, oh, he's not problematic. You know what I mean? So if someone outright asked you about something, you know, get into the conversation or don't, but it is a good way to gauge his thoughts, you know? Like, I personally am not entertained by Kevin Samuels and other problematic shit, but if you want to make that a habit of asking men about him, that could be your way to get out the door. Just be like, oh, what do you think about this very problematic person? And if they say, oh, I think he's funny and I think he's right, you'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Blocked. So, you know, in general, when being asked about problematic stuff, I will basically shut it down. So, you know, I gave you a specific example, but, you know, I think that's up to you. How much do you want to know about him? Or, you know, how much do you want to get into his mindset? I know some women who will say, oh, I want to know what he thinks about X, Y, and Z right now, right here and there. You know, I think that's fair. So that one is just kind of more so you're going to have to use your discernment in that question. I'm going to do an episode where I will be following up with questions that you should be asking. Again, I do want to reiterate that these are just common questions that get asked, you know, but I do want to follow up with good questions that you should be asking people on first dates or in general, other than what's your favorite color. But that wraps up this show. It's time for the dating tip of the week. Follow your gut. Women's intuition ain't no hoe, okay? But intuition, period, for men and women, your gut is going to tell you, hey, you know what? This is a cool guy, but something about the situation just doesn't feel right. All I have to say is I don't think I've ever been wrong. Like anytime I've been in a situation where it hasn't worked out with someone, I kind of had an inkling, and that's all that gut is. Sometimes it's not this blaring ass red flag. Sometimes it's just an inkling. He said that this is what he does on weekends and this is why he's unavailable, but something's not adding up. Like when you're in that situation, hey, do the investigation. A lot of times we need proof. Do the investigation as you see fit, but follow your gut, follow your instincts. They will not lead you astray. It's time for Down in the DMs. This week, our letter comes from, we'll call her Pink. I got a lot of pink stuff in my office. This week's letter comes from Pink. She says, I've been dating this past summer 2 different guys. Neither of them have wanted to talk about wanting to be exclusive, but I'm really starting to like one more than the other. How do I bring this up to him without coming off as too thirsty? Should I just cut the other guy off and wait for him to bring it up? Or should I be the first to speak up and see how he feels before I cut off my other date? Thank you, Pink, for your letter. Anybody who wants to send in a letter, feel free to send in an email, ListenToYourSingleFriend@gmail.com with down in the DMs in the subject. So, Pink Girl, first of all, you don't cut off your other hoes. This is like when you're trying to find a new job, you keep the other job. Some people are gamblers, and some people will say they will quit that job and just be like, you know what? I'm not doing this no more. Like, I'm going to quit this job, and then I'm going to find something new. And whatever is for me, basically. I prefer not to be a gambler. I would prefer you keep that first job that you got, and then you wait till you get the second job to quit the first job. So, long story short, I would not cut off guy number 1 for the guy number 2 who you really, really like. You are single. Neither of these men, per your message, have talked about exclusivity. The summer is 3 months. So I think this, depending on when you started dating both of them, I think it's about the time where you could start kind of narrowing it down. So I feel like I wouldn't make a decision about homeboy number 1 until you figured out the situation with homeboy number 2. Because with homeboy number 2, you need to basically be tactful with how you bring this up. I talked about this. Oh gosh, what episode? Oh, I talked about this on the What Are We episode. So this might sound familiar, but basically, go to listen to the episode and, get into the whole details of the What Are We. But it is time, in my opinion, to have that What Are We conversation, because you said you've been dating them since the summer. So one thing that I would do is just say, bring up some sort of scenario and just say, hey, I am seeing other people. I'm just trying to get an understanding of what direction we're going in. Maybe there's a wedding coming up. Maybe there's an event coming up. And just say, I'm not really sure if that's something you want to do with me, if that's the direction we're going. Come up with some sort of scenario where you feel the need to bring up. Is this a thing that we're doing? Are we going to cookouts together? Are we going to Halloween parties together? Like, I don't know how casually y'all have been dating, but chances are if you're dating, multiple people at once, they may or may not have met your friends, your family. Like, bring up some sort, oh, my aunt's having a birthday party this weekend. Did you want to come? Like, start bringing up things that start to kind of fuse your lives together and see, if he's down or if he's kind of like, no, I'm not trying to do that. I would just kind of rip the Band-Aid off though. But you really do just need to be tactful with the way that you do that. There's no such thing as coming off as thirsty. Y'all are dating. I feel like we got to get that out of our minds. Someone said this to me a few days ago, like, oh, I hate DMing because I don't want to come off as thirsty. You're not thirsty unless you're thirsty. A dating coach I follow says that all the time. And that's like, if you DM, it's because you're interested. We confuse interest with thirst. Thirst is when a man DMs you 10 times a day and you've not responded, or 10 times a week or 10 times a month and you've never responded. That is thirsty. Talking to someone you've been dating and saying, hey, I'm just trying to get an understanding of the direction we're going in. Like, having that conversation is not thirsty. So I really need us to kind of like reconcile what we view as, doing too much or being thirsty. Now, pressing him every week and saying, well, until I'm your girlfriend, that's thirsty. But having a mature conversation, we've been dating for a couple months. I really like where this is going. I just want to reevaluate where we're at and what you're looking for. You don't even have to ask him a question. Just say, I want to reevaluate, where we're at and kind of what your vision is of the next steps. And then don't say any words. Let him tell you, oh, this is what it looks like to me. If he comes out with that, BS, oh, well, I think things are going just fine. I don't feel like we need to put labels on it. You already know what time it is. But if he says, yeah, I think things are going great, I think we might want to move things to the next steps, and y'all can flesh that out. But definitely, you don't have to be all, what is we doing? What are we? So go listen to the episode, because I did a whole episode about how to navigate that conversation. But I would not cut off my other hoes until you got your stuff situated. And it's okay that you like him more than the other guy, but don't mess up your other situations. On the off chance that it doesn't work out, don't mess up your other situations, and don't fuck up your roster for someone who's not taking you to the championship, basically. Like, don't put everybody on the bench or kick them off the team completely because you really like the fact that you have, you know, a star on your team. You may have a star on your team, but he's still got to prove his worth, and he's not committed. In basketball terms, I don't know, don't they sign contracts? Like, he's not signed he's tried out for the team, but he's not committed to the team yet. He has not signed the contract. So you can't take all these other people at tryouts and just say, all right, y'all can go home because I got a star player. Your star player ain't committed yet. So once he commits, then you can do the things that you need to do. But go on about your businesses. Go about your business, and don't cut off that other man until, you know, the one that you like has given you something more tangible and something more formal. Thank you so much for your letter. Now it's time for trivia. I need a trivia song. I say this every other time, but I want a trivia song and I can't sing. This week's trivia is 4 out of 10 blank dating relationships result in marriage. Is it A, workplace, B, college, C, church, or D, bar/club? Which relationships 4 times out of 10 result in marriage? You'll have to find out on next week's episode. All right, guys, that wraps the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to this award-winning podcast. I'm not going to stop saying it for at least a week, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm just so ecstatic. I really, really am. Like, I'm humbled by this. Honestly, it is truly an honor. And to be recognized in front of my peers, it's just such a big deal. Like, you guys listen to me and support me, but for other podcasters to be like, yeah, that's good. Like, I really, really do appreciate that. I worked so hard on season 1, and I'm working twice as hard on season 2 because I want this to be great for you guys. And I'm just really, really appreciative and humbled by all of this. This just started as a little idea a few years ago, me just frustrated with my dating life. And oh my God, I'm about to get emotional. Just the fact that people like tune in to hear me talk shit about my sucky dating life or sometimes lit dating life. Like, it is really humbling that you guys tune in every week to listen to me. So I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Shout out to all my new listeners. Man, this is just the beginning, guys. This is just the beginning. We have barely scratched the surface. So thank you for tuning in this week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share the show. Run up my reviews on Apple Reviews. I ain't got no reviews lately, so run me up some more reviews. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week.